She dies, it's enemy. She goes out to more than me. Payment tickets, not pay short.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Black City, man. It's your boy D.U.T. You know, first we just wanted to come up, and give y'all a little something, man, from the boys to what they be doing, man. This been a hit for a minute, so, if you ain't seen it on YouTube yet, y'all need to go and check it out. Classic, Permit, Feed Down, man, you know what I mean? It's produced by the Lambo, with the homeboys, man, so y'all need to go and check this out, man, if you have not yet, because I know most of y'all had anyway in my viewers, so I appreciate y'all for that. But today, man, we got an episode where I wanted to do something different, and this was because of, this audio that was just leaked, in the Brisbane, police, that was very disturbing, to, I hope everybody, especially black people, man, is just something that just, it's disgusting and it needs to stop, but we'll get to that later anyway, so, I just want to start to y'all literally by just talking about, youth, growing up here as a youth. And I'm going to talk to y'all about my story, and this is something that's, probably only 2 people know about this, you know what I mean? So this is the first time airing it out, and, it's just something that I can really, people can get something out of it, you know what I mean? Because, growing up here as a teenager, you have to go through, only God knows, only God knows your destiny, and just sometimes it is what it is. So I want to, I'm going to start off with going back to, me getting locked up, going back to the, the days of 18 years old, and, it feels like it's been forever, just going through this memory lane, it's something that it's really gonna be personal and very emotional because, I never really just want to travel back to this kind of things, because, when I look back, it was more hurtful and just so much damage, that I couldn't understand. But if I have to, to look at it, it's just, it made me who I am today, and I can see the way, hopefully this and could relate to a lot of youngins right now who are gone through, the detention centers and, into the jail system and into the law, so, it's pretty deep. As a kid is, growing up, man, 17 is, I'm gonna start off where, I was in and out of lockup in Juvenile Center, after I came back from the U.S. in 2005, and I just came back with a mindset that I thought I was literally this gangster, I was just this dude that just didn't care, and it's like I found my blackness of what black was supposed to be, apparently. You weren't supposed to take shit from nobody, and you just got to be the man and hold your own at all times. And, it's just like, I had to prove something to I don't even know. I can't really say to myself. It's like I had to prove to everybody, that I was something. So, it's, it all started first, when I was, 17 years old. And this was the rehab, this was the rehab. Because when I got locked up, it was 2 weeks after I just turned 18, but the crime, and the things, it happened just after I got out of rehab. I went to rehab at the age of 17 because, the court system, the judge gave me they gave me an option, either to go do juvenile center for 9 months or go do rehab for 3 months. I had a big criminal history as a young kid, stolen cars, break-ins, all them things. And so they gave me opportunity anyway, because everything I did was on drugs and alcohol. And that, so they sent me to rehab. So I ended up going to rehab. I was supposed to be there for 3 months. And, the first 2 weeks, you come into this thing where they call, it's like the rehabilitation, where you're still on drugs, but it's like, where you calm down. And you're in there for 2 weeks before they put you into the main houses. So I came in, did my 2 weeks, and I'm going to the main house. And it was just, just so friendly and love everybody. And, within 4 weeks, I got an opportunity to have weekend leave. See, what they did in rehab was every single weekend, they take you out to places, to do activities, knowing that you can do it without, the influence of drugs and alcohol. So, we went to a lot of, went to paintball, we went to, swimming every weekend. We did something different, different activities where, you literally forget, about this. But, as a teenager in that time is just, everything that was going through my head was just, I just want to do my time and get out. I just want to go see my friends. And, you were allowed to, visit on weekends. And that, you allow like a, 2-hour visit, family can come, friends, and that, so everything was watched, so it was like more like an open space, it was like a home that you created with, people, just young kids who just, trying to get out of drugs and alcohol, or they were just court ordered, or, most of them were, they literally weren't trying to get out of drugs and alcohol, but it was a better option than going to jail. So that's why I took that option, because I didn't think that I had a drug and alcohol problem. I was just a young kid having fun at all that time, so so that happened anyway, so I ended up doing my time and I got out, and the first day when I got out with my boy, after 3 months, the boys came pick me up and, it's like running straight back to the alcohol store, man, like, going straight to the liquor store and, got a bottle and the first thing was just get drunk. So I go back into that routine of just, being a teenager, really, like just, drinking, having fun. And, a lot of the troubles and the things that I did, was, really, I was really, following, at the same time was following as well as trying to be a leader. So, when my homeboy stole something, when they went to steal the car, like, just would go there and do it, and just I'll be there, jump in the front seat and just, So it was just, I was always there for the ride. And it seemed to just get me a lot, in a lot of troubles. But, when I think about it, it was just, it was just that circle of a kid just really trying to find his purpose. Just trying to find his position. So, anyway, let's cut down to, one day, right? So, this guy was my best friend and shit. And, this was the time that I was in rehab. He used to come visit me, my best friend. And for me, I have this thing that's called trust, loyalty, and respect. It's the only 3 things in my life ever grown up that I want from anybody that's gonna be around me. And that trust is, it sounds like just a similar word, but, just a word, but literally that's something that I take deep within my heart. And I don't know what it is nowadays, and loyalty, that comes with trust. If I trust you like that, that is loyalty built with it. And respect, shit, is just them 3 words, man. It's like literally you can just make them into just one word. And that's what I ride for. So I had this best friend that we ride with for a minute, and I met my girl through him. So we're going to one night to a party. It's like, damn. So I ended up meeting this girl through my homeboy and shit, and then we ended up dating, I fell in love with this white girl, and she was my baby, she was my baby. And then, see, this is the time that when I was in rehab, that time my best friend tried to hook up and try to sleep with my girl, you know. So, my girl had, respect and trust for the guy, you know what I mean? Because I was my homeboy. So, they used, we used to hang out at his house and that. So, when I was in, rehab and that, they still kicking it, I knew about it and that. So, they tell me and everything was going on. We had a good time, we chilling, you know what I mean? Homies came through, whatever the hell they did, being young. So it was this one weekend where homeboy didn't come see me. He usually come see me like every weekend. And it was weird because, I tried to call him, phone didn't go through. And then it was a Tuesday, because the weekend went. It was a Tuesday. I get a phone, I ring my girl. And, she was crying on the phone. And that's when she told me, this story that my boy literally, tried touching her and literally ended up making her walk home, because she wouldn't do what he wanted. And I couldn't believe that. Like, honestly, I just was just something that get the fuck out of here. This, like trust, loyalty, and respect. Like, go back to that because it's just, we've been riding forever, and I met you through. So it was just, I had just so much, like I just couldn't believe her. And then it was just every time like I tried to hit my boy up, it's like his phone wouldn't go through and just, things changed. So that's when, cut down and didn't get in contact and I got out. And, we didn't cut down to like 4 months later. And, back in Canberra, growing up I had to build a reputation for myself. I had to, it was just growing up there in the hood. It's just, I didn't know. I was just this black kid. Like I had to be I was the only black kid. I had to be black. So I had to build this reputation there, knowing that is, I had to start my own crew. I had to start my own little gang and, and that's where I got these tattoos right here. One crew. So I got that at a young age. And the reason that it's one crew is because, together we are one. If you're my boy, I'm like, that day is, we will always be one. You swinging, I'm swinging. You doing this, I'm doing this. We are one and we are crew. And that's why we came up, I came up with our name because I always felt like just no matter what or who I'm with, if it's one person, it's two people, it's three, It's just like we always one, and we a crew. So I've always had this thing of, being our one and being our leader, So when it came down to swinging and, getting into fights and all that, we're the first down, we're the first swinging. And that, that reputation there, got out, it got out and, I was just end up beating up football players, young kids, freshies and things like that. And, that's how, violence with me really became a big thing because, I was beating up, and, under 20, under, NRL, younger brothers, players and that, hanging out, and just robbing people in that, So, I was just fucking up, me and my crew, just doing what kids do, Just really trying to stamp our ground and who we was at that time. And, that shit didn't, it led to being this, wanted kid, in the whole, in the whole of Canberra, where everybody wanted a piece of me. Everybody wanted a piece of us, So we've been in so many different consultations where it was, chased out in the whole club, Being beaten the fuck up, I was hospitalized 9 times in my life, growing up in Canberra. Just jumped so many times, and but, when I look at that, and because it's the only thing I knew, it's the only thing I knew when I walked out of my house, it's me against the world and who was really there with me at the time, so I got down anyway, so I haven't seen my boy, or that dude anyway that was supposed to be my friend, you know what I mean, about 4 months. And then one day, you know, me and my boy, we ended up going to these shops, you know what I mean, down in the neighborhood in Canberra. You know, and we ended up meeting out with these two girls that we knew, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, out of nowhere, they were going to meet up with this guy to get some drugs off him. So at that time, it was like, you know, it was like a light, you know, it was just like, wow, oh, shit, I can finally get this dude. And back in Canberra at that time, I used to carry a machete. You know, I used to carry a machete around, you know, because, you know, I had a lot of people wanting to beef with me. You know, a lot of people wanted a piece of me, and, you know, getting jumped and hospitalized, you know, a lot of times is just, you know, I was ready to ride. Yes, you know, I was ready to put it down, no matter what the situation was. So, you know, I had a machete with me that time, and it was a nighttime, and these girls are going to my old school, you know what I mean, you know, the school that I got expelled from. You know, they were going to meet him over there in the basketball courts. So me and my boy was just like, all right, y'all go do your thing to the girls. And then we did the ambush, we did the slide. You know, we followed the girls, ended up going around the corner, you know, around behind trees and that, and this dude pulled up literally, you know, in his helmet, in a brand new motorbike, whatever the hell, you know, he wasn't riding motorbikes when we used to be kicking it, so, you know, and shit, and put up in the court. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, is this him? This dude didn't ride motorbikes. And then, you know, he takes off his helmet. And, you know, when I seen that face, it was like, it was like gold, you know. It's like I just came out the bushes, literally, you know, with a machete, just like, you know, it's over. You know, and so really hit the fan, and, you know, got out of machete, you know, did a couple of damages, you know what I mean, and then just smashed the dude, right? You know, there's people over there, you know what I mean, the courts, and, you know, my stupid ass a kid, you know, we had them little slide phones and shit. You know, I got one, you know, when my homies record this shit. So, you know, I ended up recording this, you know, and all that, and, you know, beating motherfucker out, and then we just took off. You know, we ran back to my boy's house. And, you know, as a kid, you know, drilling, rushing, it's like, you know, what's next? We need to go get liquor. We need to take all our clothes and just shit, you know, so bloody. And then it's like cut down 45 minutes later. Like, fuck, let's go back to the courts, you know what I mean? Because homeboy only lives like 10, 12 minutes walk, you know what I mean, from the old school. So, fuck, let's walk down, man. Let's go have a look. So, like, cool. So we started walking down. And when we got to the shops, and it's about like, 150, 200 meters away. Like, you know, you could see the court and everything, you know what I mean? The lights were on, and police was everywhere. You know, the lights, it was like feds were everywhere. It was the biggest crime, like it was a crime scene and a half. My heart was just like, when I seen that, it just stopped. Like, we ran back to the homeboy's crib and just literally ditched every single thing that we had. I went to my undies, you know what I mean, my stupid ass, and get rid of my phone. So got rid of everything, clothes, machete, and, you know, ditching all that. And then straight away, you know, when you went and booked a ticket, you know, it was happening on a Friday night, went and booked a ticket. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And, you know, this is my time. You know, I was trying to get out the state. You know, it's like, I got to get out. And so I booked my ticket, and, you know, the next available was, you know, it was Monday, you know, cheap one at the time, you know, fuck. So we got the cheap one. It was on Monday, you know, I'm like, at the weekend, whatever situation, you know, it's about like 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday. So I'm like, all right, we got a high low for the weekend. So I stayed in my homeboy's crib all weekend, right? And then Monday comes. This is where the story turns. Monday comes. You know, I get a phone call, you know, sat there, my boys on the front, we're sitting there, we're eating breakfast in his living room at his mama's house. You know, his mama's going to work, you know, he's half Crow, you know, and his, you know, stepdad's a lawyer and shit anyway, so we're just sitting there eating breakfast. I get a phone call, you know what I mean, and it's my boy that was living with my brother at the time, because I was living in my brother's house. Hit me up. It's like, this phone call just gave me goosebumps. The feds just came in. Their house was surrounded. They had the microphone. They had the whole house surrounded. Guns, literally like the movie screen shit that you see on TV, like surround a whole house, what, everything, and they got the radio out the front come out. So when they did all that, I was in a home. So they, they didn't get what they were looking for. So that's when I got that phone call. Long they probably tap everything anyway, who knows? Got that phone call, and so my boy said, I was like, get the fuck out of here. And I was sitting there eating breakfast. I'm like, shit, my heart literally stopped. I said, all right, hang out the phone. Finish out the breakfast real quick. Within literally, I swear to God, it was in literally 3 minutes to just finishing my breakfast. You look out the back window, just, it was like you can just see, you're hearing footsteps, you're hearing running steps, and the door just bum, 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 bum. It's the police. My heart has never stopped. Or that moment was, you look out the window, the house was surrounded. I swear to God, it was surrounded by the AFP, Australian Federal Police, with guns all around the house. The door was just knocking. And, first thing as a kid, just trying to fucking hide, I literally ran to boy's room under the fucking bed. My heart has never stopped, beat it that fast ever. So, ran straight into the thing, into my boy's room, under the couch. The only place I could hide, fit, under the bed. And next minute, man, they walk in so casually. So they had the whole locksmith. They had, they weren't coming to break the door. They literally had locksmith. So they came in, and it was a moment where it was just, every room just, you hear click, click. And coming into my room, my boy's room, and under the bed, it was just, my heart literally stopped. And it was just, get out. Where I rolled out under the bed, and literally you can just, when the guns are pointing in your face, and just, it's just, it was just a scene where I thought it was a nightmare, it was a dream, it was just all in my face. I just didn't even know how to act, really, got me out under the bed. They got me, stripped me freaking naked, and everything. And at that moment, all was going through my mind, regardless, the main police, the Fed guy was talking to me while all the other guys sitting there, and why, your child, whatever. The only thing that was going through my mind at that time was run. I was handcuffed, in my drawers. And it's like, how do I run? And just the only other thing that just came was this is it. My life is over. It's just, all it was at that time was just this battle through the mind of, is this it? Will I ever see the light of day again? And it's just all these crazy things, and taking me in, to the police station, and my mom was not in Canberra at the time, so, I was just this loose kid, and so taking me in to the watch house, and then to the charges where, they wanted to do me first with, attempted murder. I tried to kill the guy. And just every little thing just going through the mind. It was, this is it. It's just, I didn't know what to do. Like it was over. So I ended up going to court, bail denied, 2 weeks to remand center. So I ended up in remand center there for about a month. Excuse me, in Canberra. And in that remand center, I wanted just to go to jail. I wanted them just to take me to jail. You know what I mean? Like the remand center was, one of the, as a fucking adult going in there and just seeing the space, you know what I mean? And just all these cells, like around like a triangular, shape, you know what I mean? And it's just, you just have this little hallway here and just caged up on top. And it's like you're in this box, you know what I mean? It's like you can only walk 15, 20 meters maximum. Then you have to turn around, That is as long as you can walk, in the remand center. And just, being in there and, the first, like, in the remand center, it was something like, it was, you got to make a name, just 18, you fresh, in 2 weeks in. And, and the crazy thing about it, though, is because, everything was on the papers, so going in, people already knew, about what I did, in jail. You know how it is. Crooks know what's up. When things on the papers, on the news, whatever situation, crooks know. You know what I mean? But I didn't know that. I was young. It's my first time going into adult. And, stepping in that remand center and shit, lucky I knew some, some boys in there. It was crazy because, I was just that street kid. So, I knew a lot of people. A lot of, older people in that. So when in remand center and, remand center is like a piece of cake, but it's like you just want to go to jail where you can just, just do your time so they've given you and you know what you got to do. Because being in remand center is, you don't know what's happening. You don't know how long you're getting. You just don't know nothing about you, so you just stuck in there of just, in the mindset of, fuck, I'm here forever. And that was something that I literally had to try to build for me. And it was, I just knew that I was not going nowhere. I was not getting out. I just knew I was not getting out. Sitting there talking to boys and, some things and, telling you stories and what, happens and shit and some people's charges, it was not getting out. So, at that time, then my mama came back when she found out. So she came back home to Australia and she attended my next court. And that's when they would come to, do sentencing. And, when I went up, in our courtroom and seeing my mom in the stands, it was the most heartbreaking experience that, I think I could ever imagine in my life at that time. As this kid who had the whole world, the scholarship to the States and just, came back to try to fix myself and end up to the worst situation possible. And just ask my mother that, the face, the look, and what she said in court. She stood up and said, my son is not a bad kid. He just needs guidance. And she took a lot of blame of her not being there, because she was always out traveling, saving Africa, saving Sudan. She took a lot of blame for me being in jail, and that blame too had to go elsewhere, So just that moment in court, just breaking down in tears, and the judge gives me 15 months. And 15 months, as a kid, just did a month. That felt like it was freaking like 10 months. 15 months. Felt like I was gonna, when I, just felt like it's gonna be a new millennium when I get out. Like, it's just 15 months was just, it was never gonna come in my mind. Like, 15 months ain't coming. I'm here forever. And mom and tears and sent me in, and you can apply for parole after 9 months. Right? So then I end up going in. Right? So we cut into the first time coming into the big boys. They sent me to Gobin after rehab. After where I was in the remand center. They sent me to Gobin Correctional Center. I'm sure y'all heard about that. And, and where it's got all the killers. At that time, Ivan Malat was in there. I seen that dude all shackled, and, it was just the first time walking into the Gobin Correctional Center and take it to your cell. Because everybody's locked in at that time. When you go to your cell, you're just going to your cell. And the small of that room, the smallness of that room is, I'm claustrophobic now, but just like at that time, that when you look in, it was literally felt like half of this space, and the mattress is this thin. And when you got a toilet, and it's a bunk bed, and going into remand into Gobin was, you get in there with killers, rapists, murder, all sorts of walk of kind in the underworld. So then I put him into my cell, and there is no window. All you have is that little brick wall. That brick wall with a little holes in it. That is the only little window that we had in that cell. So you never got to tell the time, and the day of light, even during the day, is you barely see the sun out of through them holes. Because the light is on. So, and in there is, we're locked in 21 hours a day. We get 3 hours to spend out in the yard. And first time coming out the yard was, I literally felt like it was literally one of those movies now that I sit there and watch. You know what I mean? Of, coming into these correctional centers. Coming into the yard, and because you this newbie, every single person, every different yard, you have everybody by the fence looking at the new fish. And all the shit that was just going through my mind was, I gotta, I gotta, shit. I gotta hold my own. I gotta hold my own. I can't look down. I'm sitting there trying to look at people, bro, and you just seeing these tattered faces, grown men, bro, and just like you look and you just, you blink your eye down real quick, you know what I mean? And look up, you know what I mean? And you just keep walking, you know what I mean? And it's just, you stay in your own mind. Don't eye contact people too much. Because you know what it is over there. And just being fresh, don't know shit about this. Adulthood jail. I'm just 18 years old. I'm stuck in there with adults, criminals. I'm talking, killers. And it's just first is what you gotta do. And straight in. And like I said before, is, people already know most about people when they go in. you know, especially in the news, on the papers and all this stuff. And that time, I was the only black dude. And I'm talking about like Sudanese in anywhere that I was. You know, you never find anybody black as me at that freaking time. And, you know, so it was different. So, you know, and knowing myself, knowing I'm a black dude, and you know, you had to ask sometimes, you don't even know who's black anymore. You know, it's like you're the black. So whoever was brown, whoever was what, you know what I mean? And that, it's like, you know, they even call you black cunt. So it's like, I was the black, but, you know, and everybody else was white. You know, but the Aboriginals, you know, they had some dark ones, you know what I mean? Where I felt like, but, you know, but it's jail, you know what I mean? Everybody's there, you know, for your own people, you know what I mean? But I didn't have my own people, you know, so after getting in there, I knew two boys, you know what I mean, in Goldman and shit, like, you know, and it was like a blessing. It's like, oh shit, I know somebody, you know what I mean? Somebody, you know, somebody that, you know, they're really, you know, I fuck with back in the outside who knew each other and that, you know what I mean? So it felt okay, you know, and, you know, I was like, what's my back? So, you know, so we out there in the yard, you know, you get 3 hours. 1 hour is, you know, shared up, you know, you have showers, you have 10 showers in there. So you got 10 minutes, you know what I mean, for the 10 people that go in, you know what I mean? No, 5 minutes for each group that go in. The first 10, you got 5 minutes. And, you know, this is why sometimes, like, you know, you have nightmares and, you know, just look at things and, you know, like just how you handle it. You know what I mean? It's like first time when they talk about, like, you know, you dropping the soap now, like when I look back, it's like I laugh and shit, like, you know what I mean? Like I actually never, I dropped the soap, but, you know, it's not like how you really see where they jump on your ass and start doing that shit, you know what I mean? Like, you know, this Australia is a bit different, you know, but I was fucking scared as a motherfucker. I was scared as a motherfucker. You know, and it just, things happen in jail where you just don't know when it's your time or somebody don't like you. So I ended up spending 4 months in Goldman. You know, and that first month literally felt like it was 3 years. Because when you 21 hours locked in a day, the only sun you get to see is that 3 hours. You know, and no phone calls, no what, between Goldman. You know, it's just, at that time, you know, if you don't have money, it's just, everything was just, you know, you're fucked. You know, and it was the most mental breaking, you know what I mean, and mental developing times, you know, that I had. But not in Goldman, because, you know, Goldman was more, I didn't have time to try to think about life and what I'm doing and that, because, you know, I was surrounded by killers. I was surrounded by, you know, rapists. I was surrounded by, it was, every single thing was, for me, it was, every day was a survival. You know, it was a mental survival, you know what I mean, of just looking out, looking around, and, you know how you know gonna make the day, come back into your celly and that, you know what I mean? And like, you know what I mean, like my celly was dude that had a lot of, you know, misses and domestic violence, you know what I mean, a couple of and this shit, but, you know, he was this bold, old grown dude, you know what I mean, like scared looking motherfucker and shit, you know what I mean? So, you know, at first it was like, damn, if, you know, I always had that movie mentality after watching movies all the time, man. Like, is this like smack or beat? How does this work? You know, so it's just, I had to really just mentally just try to go with the flow and see how things work, you know. So that 4 months was the hardest fucking, and the longest 4 months I literally can never say in my life. So fast forward, you know, they finally now accept me to go to a middle security. minimum security, because I was good. So that take me to minimum. So it take me all the way 4 hours from Canberra, from where I live, all the way to Goulburn, all the way to John Maroney, to finish off the rest of my time. And going to John Maroney was, John Maroney was a different jail, man. It was like a bit more. It was like a bit more. It was freedom. It was freedom. You freaking, you had to work in there. You know what I'm saying? Is, you can go to church. You can go to church in there. And there was things that, that you could actually do to try to just really rejuvenate yourself. So going into John Maroney, it's like, listen, everything is just fenced out. So it's like, I was still like, for me, it felt like I've been there now for like 10 years. That's what it felt mentally. So going into John Maroney, and started, put me in A block. And you have all difference, man. You know what I mean? You had Lebanese, you had the Aboriginals, the Kuris, you had the Islanders, and that, the Lebanese were the one that get all the good coke in there, and all the drugs and shit. You know what I mean? The Modis, they get the good weed, they get the weed up in there and shit. You know what I mean? And Aboriginal, man, they get you whatever the hell you need. You know what I mean? Or the hostler, in the pen anyway at that time. So. And I'm going in there, and, my thing was, start hanging out, like older people, because we had 6 hours outside, where we can hang out. So we let out at 8 o'clock in the morning, we go to work, come back at like 12, they lock us up to like 2, and then we get out to like 4, and then we're locked in for the rest of the night. But, so, it was a freedom, man, we got to... your work, on weekends, like we got the Oval, this basketball court, like, this jail was, was pretty slick and shit, So that's the one that really gave me the mental of what do I do next? And at that time, it was a lot of elder people around me, So I was really, playing cards and, hanging out with these, one of these older Lebanese, and because they speak Arabic, at that time. So they thought, I used to, hey, kef ya, all that stuff. So I used to, the shit that I say, they thought, hey, you speak Arabic? Like, nah, man, my mom does. So we got into this, man, and I had a lot of respect for these elders. You know what I mean? So, like, everybody there in my wing, they're literally like, they call me Africa, you know what I mean? And they gave me this name where it's like, and they really showed me this, respect, and love. And hanging out with the older people was like, they really gave me that mental breakdown of, life. And you can never tell, or you will never tell who's a killer or who's doing life, and it's crazy because the most nicest people, most innocent as looking people are the killers. Like, it's beyond, you know what I mean? And it's like a lot of them too want to, rejuvenate or whatever the hell happens. There's a lot of regrets, but, that was life and that's what they get. 25 years in Australia here, that's what life is. So, there's a lot of people, doing that time, man. And, when I conversate with them, they literally, give you that mind of, what do you want from me? What do you want when you get out? Is this what you like? Do you want to be hanging out with guys all day? You get told when to eat. You get told when to see your family. Let that sink in for a second. Getting told when to see your family. Getting told when you can speak to your loved ones. Getting told everything in your life, what you can and can't do. And that really, really fucked me up mentally, and I started writing, I started writing in jail, I started doing, music at that time, just started writing lyrics on my wall and papers, and
And all I could think about was this freedom. All I could think about was freedom. And after defining and asked myself, really, what freedom is. It's like at that time, I didn't even, we didn't even know the new cars, like outside, like, we can't even see cars, like women, and it's like, time though, when I finally got TV, and it's like Saturday morning when Rage come, and, and you got Rihanna or Beyonce, you know what I mean? All the lights off, and, it's, you hear the boys, you know what I mean? That's like jerk time, you know what I mean? Like you get to see some fine, you get to finally see Rihanna, or, you know what I mean? Like these nice women on TV, you know what I mean? In hip hop, you know what I mean? So, the rage was really like, for the people in there, they know the time. It was like a really, my time where you can, go and just have your imagination of Rihanna or, Beyonce or Destiny's Child, you know what I mean, that time, or, all the, hot artists and shit like that, so, it gave you, like, it was a really experience, man, that you have to take in day by day, and had a kind of realization that it came to a time where I thought I was actually not getting out. It's like I actually didn't have a fixed date, through parole or through that, like, they didn't give me a date, so it's like all I could put in my head was, this is home, and I had to look at jail like it's home. And then when I was looking at it, it's, at that time, it's like my mind was not really there. It was just like, this is home. This is like, and cut out, let me out 9 months. The first day when I walked out of them gates, out of that correctional service, the first car that I seen, and then to see my brother, my best friend, my sister, Lucis, pick me up. Now she know my little sister, my best friend, my brother, and another homeboy. They picked me up. The first thing I did was literally kiss the ground. When it comes to freedom, I never really understood freedom. And I don't think a lot of people really understand what freedom is. When I got out, for a moment, I was free. I was free. I look up and just see the birds, just trees, just cars. The first place that we went was straight to McDonald's. Went straight to McDonald's, man. Like, I thought it was gonna be the best meal ever. And, I couldn't even finish the cheeseburger. It tasted like shit. It tasted like ass, but I was like, fuck. And all the women, like any women, fat, skinny, whatever, it was just, I actually really got to appreciate women just looking at them in all different shapes. And just kind of it was just, I don't know, it was horniness. It was, whatever the fuck it was just, I just wanted to hit everything. Like everything was, all the girls was just, wow. And I got out actually on the 25th, a day after my sister's birthday. My baby sister and my mom and everybody had, gathering and, ready. So when my brother came to pick me up, I went straight to his house because, I used to live with him and then I was supposed to go to my mama's house. So I went straight to his house. The first thing I wanted to do was went to the liquor store after that and rang my boys. And didn't go to my sister's birthday, just went and got drunk. You're 19 and got back into a bit of shit, and it was just at that time where I was like, I gotta get out, because I know that if I as soon as I go back on these streets outside, I know something will happen. I gotta get the fuck out. So I had to plan to get out. And that's when after my parole ended, I left Canberra, came to Brisbane. And it was the best thing that I ever did in my life. Literally at that time. Because I knew if I stayed in Canberra, I would end up dead. Locked up for life. And just, who knows where I would have went. All my friends, everybody there. But it was just, I got in trouble all the time. So I came to Queensland, in 2007, came to Queensland. And that's when a whole new lifestyle came in. Fell in love, with first Sudanese girlfriend. And life changed. And it's like when I look back, and of times is why, I really came here was I just had to figure something. I didn't know what I was doing. I just had to start a new life, and when I sit back now and, really think about life and go backwards is, what do is, I don't want to be being told what to do. I don't want to be told when I can't see my family. I don't want to be told what I can and can't eat. I don't want to be told, when I can go have a drink, when I can have fun. And when I really look at that, it's like I really developed this mind of I'm free. After parole and everything, it's like I found freedom. I found freedom. And some people will be hard to explain what it is in freedom, but you guys have it. You guys, everybody that's outside, you just have it here. Freedom is in the mind of something that I thought, but to be honest is I'm free. And I had to find this mental state and battle of knowing that everything I did and how I did it always led me to a bad place. And so after I got out really, really acknowledging what freedom really was, I never wanted to lose my freedom again. It was, now when I think of like even paddy wagons, I get claustrophobic, it drives me crazy. Like just to be free. Where you can see your family. Where you can see your girlfriend. Where you see your friends. Where you can have a drink. But I look at it as, we have to go through that. I had to go through that. And I had to be punished. See, when you go to jail, there's only two options. You either come out better man, better person, or you come out worse than you went in. Now, if you really put it down together, it's like, once you in there, you gotta ask yourself, is that what you really want? Do you want to be hanging around guys, all day being told what to do? That's for your own mindset to think about, because this thing called freedom now is, I tell, a lot of people that I have the opportunity to be educated, to go to school. I have the opportunity to chase my dreams. I have the opportunity to raise my kid in a better place. I have the opportunity to help and educate, our enemies. I have the opportunity to open the mind to the mindset and try to help for the people to understand how precious life is. I have the opportunity to see my family anytime. I have the opportunity to pick up the phone and call my family anytime. I have the opportunity to go and grab a drink. I have the opportunity to go and study anything that I really want to study. But I didn't have them in jail. So that's where I look off. We do have opportunities. We do have second chances. You see, what I did and my conviction and everything about it is something now where nobody knows my past. Not many people know my history and my past. I can't be angry no more. When I look at it, I was angry at myself because I didn't know who I was. I was sitting there fighting my own family, stealing my own mother's car. I was getting suspended, expelled from school. But in God's grace, we found the light. We found the light. See, my little baby sister was hurting. My mother, my family. The kid that she gave an opportunity. And one thing that I gotta, to the parents and everybody out there is, even though I was one of the worst bad kids, my mother never looked at me like a criminal. She never talked about me like a criminal. She came to court. She came to visit me in jail. She gave me books to try to read. She just kept doing everything in a positive way. She was not pushing me away, in a positive way where it would come and try to understand me. I don't think, if I didn't have a mother like her, a strong woman who didn't judge her kid, who accepted her kid, all she ever said was, kid's not bad. They just need guidance. She saw the light in me. Whenever she came to see me, she had a she saw me with a smile on her face. Like, go ahead, dude. We get out soon. And I think at that time as a kid, in them stages, as a teenager is what you needed to hear the most. I needed to hear that, Bob, I'm here no matter what. I'll be by your side. She's seen a lot. I've put her through a lot. But she always, out of respect and just love and just try to educate. She told me, school. Dude, you are going to be great. I believe as a teenager, that's what we need. That's what we need. Yeah, sometimes we lost. Especially as teenagers, because we don't know who we are. And at time being surrounded by a culture of white, no blacks. I didn't know where to fit in. But now, take our life back. I woke with my head high. I believe every day is a brighter day. I stand South Sudan. And I will show the world, show the people. Yeah, we make mistakes. Who doesn't? But we're not animals. We shouldn't be treated like animals. Black is beautiful. And I think that, my white count, y'all need to acknowledge that you're beautiful too. We all beautiful. You see a lot of mixed race kids now, black, white. We just need the ones who haven't caught up yet to catch up. And I'm going to be here to represent my culture. I'm going to be here to represent my country in the best manner, and I'm still going to be that young dude. I'm still going to be that, that brother who understands all ages. Because we've been through it. The only thing that we didn't have that time was guardians. Because our elder brothers, they were trying to figure their way in life in this white world. So when it comes to racism and things like that now, I just feel like no one can talk to me about racism. The experiences that, being one of the first black Sudanese kids out here, being the only black kid in all the schools that I went to. But you don't understand racism as a kid. You only grow older. As you get older, you start to see it differently. You understand life. And we make mistakes. But at the end of the day, we have to learn from it. Is what we take from everything in life. Even things like death. There's a message and a lesson in everything. So I just try to take the positive out of every single negative. Because there is a positive somewhere. And I think that's what literally started to uplift and give me hope. And seeing a lot of my young South Sudanese kids nowadays, I understand. I understand what they're going through. You guys might not, but I actually understand what they're going through. You know, I feel like as we older brothers now, we are educated ourselves now. This is where we have the responsibility, under it, where we have to take a stand and be there for them. Not judge them, but take them through the steps of that mental breakdown. Because that's what they're missing. Yeah, some have to get locked up to learn their lesson. I had to get locked up. I had to go through the worst situation in my life. But I don't think I would change for anything. Because now I actually appreciate life. I take life a lot different. I take life as a blessing. I'm glad I went through all that as a young age. It took time. But we learn every day. When this goes by, what we read, what we see, what we put out there. Because I believe our ears and our eyes, are the pathway to our soul. So all the things that we take in, if you're a big time rap ghetto fan, you're really gonna end up living that life. If you notice, if you're a Bob Marley fan, someone who listens to Bob Marley, you see how they live their life. Somebody who's a lover boy. I'm a lover boy. I listen to a lot of, R&B, Afro beats, something, to vibe me, to keep me happy and, back to the love, because all I want is love and I want to give love back. So we're going to take that power, take control of yourself. Because no one can change us but ourselves. You got to look at yourself in the mirror, my little brother. Know that you're better than this. Know that. Just look at yourself sometimes and ask, am I lost? Because the more you ask questions, the more the answers will come. There's a lot of negative thrown on our side. Especially with the police and the media as a young Sudanese. We see a lot of negative just being thrown. And what they don't understand is it affects the whole Sudanese community. When you print a negative picture about a color, why can't we even just say just names now, and just treat criminals or whatever, not even criminals, I guess, treat criminals like criminals if you want. But what are criminals? How are they going to learn if we ain't trying to teach them? And this is the thing with the police. This disturbing video that was out. I'm going to play it at the end of this. But this is what we black face a lot. When we talk about racism and we talk about, police and why, a lot of black people don't like police. It's, they give us every single reason not to like them. Don't get me wrong, there are some good officers out there. But the ones who do bad, right, it really affects your whole community. Just like how one black person do bad, have you noticed it affects our whole community? So, but this is not with the police, a lot different. Even if you don't know, it's not even about being bad or something done wrong, but just to hate a color or a race just because they're not one of your own, and to have these kind of, things that, leaked, it hurts. Black people don't deserve this. Yeah, some of us make mistakes. Yeah, we all make mistakes. We're not animals. Like, honestly, this thing here literally needs to stop. So I know there's a lot of hurt black people about it. So, in time is, people want to come and talk about it, or come on the table and that. So, you can comment, hit me up, and let me know, because, this is something that happens every day. This is something that we black people have to deal with every day, especially myself being out of the police system for over 10 years. Just probably being done for like 1 or 2, public nuisance. But out of this system, don't do nothing, don't hurt nobody, don't rob nobody, and to be still treated like that, it can affect, it really affects black people. And, this is like an internal, and for, and to some people it's forever. But only thing is, the message I can say to my black folks: hold your head up high. Times will pass. And we know this is not gonna go away. But we're gonna kill them with kindness, or we're gonna kill them with love. It's the only way we can kill hate. I go back to the video of, there was a video I seen on YouTube of this Nazi who they burned down a priest's house, and they used to bother this priest for a long time, on and on. And every time, they approached the priest, they burned their house, burned the church, and every time the priest would just come and pray with them. Pray, just stand there and just start yelling to the Lord, "You, my child, is okay." And we see this, the leader of that KKK and the priest ended up becoming best friends. Now, why I say give you all that story, is because love overcomes hate. If you could put so much, you can hate something or somebody. But when you don't get the same reaction in turn, you get stuck and you don't even know what to do. And when your mind keep coming, or don't know what to do, and that love keep coming, you have no choice, but you can't hate something or someone that loves you. So, I could say to my people is, we got to educate. We got to educate our peers, on the same us, because we know what it is. Is we have this gift. We are gifted because we can be anywhere. And it's not the same for a white man. I can walk into your club and feel, and I know every single black person can do that here, but it's, and to the Brisbane police, man, you should be ashamed of yourself, because, if y'all don't do something about it, if these people out here don't get punished, for their crime, or for this, and if it's not gonna be talked about in the media, then we got, it's the problem that will never end, and as black folks who just keep staying under the radar, and like, you know, something needs to be done. And we need to take a stand. And we need to stay together. You know, we need to change. You know, so I know this video is gonna hurt a lot of people. If you haven't seen it yet, or if you haven't heard it, it's gonna play the link for y'all anyway, man. But you know, it's hurtful. So let's just help, you know. And then this video I just wanted is for y'all youngsters, man. I understand y'all, man. I don't judge y'all. You know, I just want to be there, you know, because I understand. But for me, it's to help you find who you are. Now, not later, because later could be too late. So this on us, you know, the brothers, the older generation now. It's time for us to grab our little brothers' hands and sisters, you know, and be with them, understand them, and knowing that, you know, we're there. That's what they need. So I'm going to wrap this up, man, and I thank y'all, you know, really for everything and this time. So I hope y'all got something out of it, and y'all got to know DT a little bit, man, and, you know, that reason. So that was the first time letting it out, man. So thank you anyway, man. And, you know, it was Black City. You know, hope to catch y'all next episode. You know, we're going to have 2 guests up in there. You know, I just had to bring this one up because this one here was like very recent, and we want to talk about the recent things and just, you know, upload it straight up. You know, so thank y'all. You know, Black City. See you in the next episode.
They gossip. I'm popping. You fucking with me, put your ass in the coffin. These niggas, the bluffing, she got nothing. I'm cupping. Used to ride this stick banana. All about your tongue every night in Cannibal. So the hygiene, baby girl, bravo. We standing them on fucking till the Avo.